What up, though, family? This your cousin CJ. So, I want to welcome you all to the CJ Does It All podcast, episode one. And we're going to be starting off with a personal finance course. Now, to start it off, we're going to start with goal setting. I know you hear all the time and see videos, and you guys need to set goals to reach whatever you're trying to do, whether it be your personal goal or something in your private life, a job, or a house or a car you want. But nobody tells you or shows you how exactly you need to set those goals. So here on my podcast, I'm going to be breaking it down for you guys and hopefully giving you a better understanding on how to set goals. Now, our objectives in this goal setting podcast is going to be understanding how goals are used, setting goals, help identify some financial goals, and discuss financial goals. Now, what exactly is a goal? By definition, a goal is an idea of the future or desired result that a person or a group of people envision, plan, and commit to achieve. It gives us something to strive for and holds us accountable. Now, there are three different types of goals: long term, intermediate, and short term. Now, hopefully, the short term goals support the long term goals. For example, in 5 years, I want to have a $15,000 emergency fund. Now, if you want to set an intermediate or short term goal to support that, let's say in 1 year, I might need 1,500 to 2,000 saved up for the goal. The $1,500 gives us an intermediate objective, and that way we know if we're on track for our long term goal. And intermediate goals could also be used as a status check to make sure you're on track for your goal. Now, if we're looking at short term goals, we're looking at anything within 1 year. Intermediate goals, 1 to 5 years. And long term goals, we're looking at anything greater than 5 years. Our financial goals, the same as any other type of goals. Well, when we're talking about financial goals, we're talking about using set timelines and dollar amounts to achieve our financial goals. Financial goals include our personal finances. They can also include personal goals like wanting to lose or gain a certain amount of weight or a vacation to a certain place that you've been wanting to take. And you have professional goals. Maybe you have a certain cert that you want to get to help you get promoted at a job or just a certain level in your career that you want to obtain. So now we need to start setting some goals. And the way most people or a lot of people do it are setting SMART goals. Now, what are SMART goals? SMART goals are goals that are specific. And specific means you just need to establish a specific goal or something that you want to achieve to or attain to, which is one of the goals as well. And they have to be something that's measurable, right? If you measured it, then you know that you achieved that goal. Now, another part of it is it has to be attainable, right? If I set a goal to save $100,000 in 1 year, but I only make $40,000 to $50,000 a year, that's not going to be attainable, right? Because you don't generate enough income yearly to even save that amount. But if I say, hey, maybe I want to save 10% of that of my income, and I'm making 50,000, saving $5,000. Now that's a little bit more attainable and reachable, right? And also, it has to be realistic, right? Because if it's not realistic, then you're most likely not going to reach that goal, and you're going to get pissed off and frustrated that you can't reach it or you can't achieve that goal. And the last thing that makes the goal effective is the time element. When do you want to achieve that goal? Now let's move along here and let's take a look at some goals. I want to buy a car, right? Is that a SMART goal? Yes, it's specific. Now, would you be happy with a 2010 Ford Taurus? You bought a car. When will you buy the car? When will you buy the car? Now, if you wait 5 years to get that Ford Taurus, that's even 5 years older, would you be satisfied with that car? Most likely you wouldn't be. So you would need to add a little bit to this goal. Now, how about if I save $3,000 to use as a down payment on a new Jeep Cherokee 3 years from today? Now, that's specific. Yes, pretty much. Is it measurable? Well, I know when I have reached $3,000. I'll know when 3 years is from today. Is it attainable? Well, based on my situation, it is. Is it realistic? Definitely it is. Now, do I have a time element? Yes, 3 years from today. So 3 years from today, if I'm on a car lot with $3,000, looking for a Jeep Cherokee with my down payment, I know I have reached my goal, right? Now let's take a look at a personal goal. Now, let's say I want to lose 20 pounds. Now that's very specific, right? Now, is it measurable? Yeah, I can get on a scale to see if I lost 20 pounds or not. Now, is it attainable? Now, I guess that depends on your body composition. If you're a bigger person, losing 20 pounds might be a little easier for you because you have more weight to lose, right? But if I'm a smaller person, it's probably going to be harder for me to lose 20 pounds. Now, is it realistic? Well, that depends on your current situation. Are you on vacation or in the middle of a business trip and you can't eat like you want to or on your normal diet? Then no, it's not. But do you have a time element? Now, if I lose that 20 pounds and it takes 10 years, would I have reached my goal? We don't know. So that's when you have to add a little bit more in and say, hey, well, when do I want to lose that 20 pounds? There has to be some type of time element or sense of urgency, right, to lose that weight. Now, how about saving $1 million? Now, that sounds great, right, for anybody. But when do you need the $1 million by, right? Do you need it this year or you need it 2 years? That's when the SMART goals come in, right? Let's say I need to save $1 million in the next 45 years for my retirement. Now, doesn't that sound more attainable and realistic? Because for most of us, we probably can't save $1 million in the next 2 to 3 years or 45 years. But if we set a timeline of 45 years, that sounds a little bit more realistic, right? In order to do that, you're going to need to set up some intermediate goals to go along with this goal. Now, if I use my financial calculator and say, if I save $500 per month at 5% interest, I'll have my $1 million, but what if I can't save $500 every month? Because we know all type of things pop up, car expensive, you might need tires, you might need a little work done on whatever engine or whatever, or your budget just don't allow you to save that much. So maybe I would just like to start with $100 a month at 5% for 2 years. Now, there is a short-term goal, and my intermediate goal will be to add to that. In years 3 through 8, let's save $300 a month. If we were to do that, now we would be able to start with about $23,000. Now that's nowhere near the million, but something better than nothing, and we got to start. But now by adjusting our goal or the process to reach that goal, saving less in those first few years, and you're going to have to pick it up a little bit in the years after that. So let's say $600 a month, or should I say after those 6 years, you're going to have to save $600 a month to achieve that, and you will be able to achieve that goal of being able to save $1 million in the next 45 years. I talked about financial goals versus personal goals. Now, this episode of the podcast, or segment of the podcast, I should say, is about personal finance. Now, let's talk about some financial goals. Now, these are goals that should definitely be in your personal plans, right? You need to decide what it is that you want to achieve regarding your personal finances. Now, we're going to start off talking about saving. Now, no matter how much you're making, right, we can all set some sort of saving goal. To make it specific, let's say I want to save $5,000 in emergency savings in 12 months. Well, let's break that down just a little bit. Now, when we're in the process of setting these financial goals, we're not just throwing out random numbers, right? That 5,000, it might be a good number for you, but somebody else that's making significantly less money, that might be a little bit too much. You can tweak it and make it a little bit less or a little bit more depending on how much you're making per year. You need to decide on how to come up with that number and have a realistic timeline for that number. Your emergency savings might be a couple months of your living wages, just in case something happens. You should include the deductible on your insurance, because that money needs to come from somewhere. So as we're building up that savings, and as you reach that goal, and that goal is accomplished, you can use that money that you're saving toward something else. Now, housing is probably the most common goal for people, right? 'Cause everyone needs somewhere to live, and most people want to own their own house. But think about it. Remember the SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time, right? Now, just owning your home doesn't meet most of those, but to make it specific, right? If you say in 10 years, I want to save $20,000 to use as a down payment on a 4-bedroom, $200,000 house in Westland, Michigan. Now, do I know what I'm looking for and what I'm saving for? I definitely think so. Now, hopefully, you've done the research and you know what a 4-bedroom house in Westland, Michigan is going to look like. Now, this is something I just made up, right? I don't want to move to Westland, Michigan, but just for the podcast episode's sake, I just made it up. That way you guys aren't really using it, because I want you to actually do a little research on your own and make your own SMART goals. And now as you go through your budget, you can adjust and say, what is it going to take to save $20,000 in 10 years. Now, maybe you could save faster, maybe you can save more money, but as you do that, then you can adjust your goals for that. Now, an insurance goal. Think to yourself, do we need insurance goals? Now, this could be um, life insurance, car insurance, so many different insurances out here. But it's a key element to your personal financial plan. Most of us have homeowners or rental insurance plans. Like I mentioned, car insurance, health insurance. Most of these insurance plans has a deductible or a copay, something you need to pay when you use the insurance. If you have a deductible on your car insurance, you need to have that money somewhere. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, I mentioned your deductibles in your emergency savings. Well, maybe we want to raise our deductible so we can lower the cost of our insurance. How about setting your goal here to save $1,000 in 12 months so I can raise my deductible? Maybe we already have our emergency savings in place. Now I'm going to try to save another $1,000 for my deductible to lower it. I'm sorry, another $1,000 in your emergency savings plans. Now I can raise my deductible. So I can raise my deductible from maybe $250 to $1,000 and save each month on my monthly insurance price or premium, I should say. But before I do that, I have to make sure I do have that money. So just in case I do have that accident, that you're able to cover your share of the insurance. Sure. Now, retirement is a goal. A lot of young people probably are not thinking about right now, but you definitely should be getting prepared because the older you get, the faster time seems like it's flying by. But when you get to a certain age, everyone starts to like to talk about it and have their own dreams about what age they want to retire and how much they need or are going to have for retirement. But you need to set your retirement goals. How do you know what you want in retirement? Do we just throw a dollar amount out of thin air? I mentioned earlier I want to save $1 million for retirement, which in this inflated market right now, it's just not even enough really to live off of, depending on what age you retire. So you got to ask yourself that: how far does $1 million go? Is $1 million enough? Is it way too much? Now, one thing you want to do for your retirement goals, definitely need a time. Some people like to use age 60. I put 65, just to give myself a little bit more time. Because right now we really don't know what the dollar is going to be worth in the next 10 years. It's not looking pretty good right now. But for the SMART goal's sake, we need it specific, right? We need it measurable. So at age 65, I want a monthly income of $5,000. Now, another element you might want to add to that is time, as far as how long. Do I want $5,000 a month for 1 year? Or do I want $5,000 a month for 10 years? Or 20 years? I need to decide that. Then I can get into my financial plan and decide how much I need to save for that lump sum. In that particular scenario I was just talking about, if I want $5,000 a month to last me 20 years, I would need probably around $645,000. So if I got 50 years from now until I retire, I would need to save about $118 a month. Now, most of us probably don't have that long, especially if we're going to retire age 60 or about 60 to 65 range. So you might want to push retirement age back if you're going around 60, or you might want to lower the amount that you're going to withdraw. or you can either increase the amount that you're investing for your retirement. Now, the last thing you're going to want to do with your goals is you're going to want to monitor them, right? Now, if I look at my retirement goal, I want to have a monthly income of $5,000. Now, today I think I can live off of $5,000, but 30 or 40 years from now, $5,000 won't go nearly as far as it does today. So you definitely may need to make adjustments to your goals or to my goals. Now, in 10 years, I want to buy a $200,000 house. In 10 years, that same house may cost more. As the price, as my goal increase, I would need to make an adjustment to the steps that I'm taking to achieve my goals, right? And this is where those intermediate goals become even more important. So we talked about how goals are used. We've also set several goals. Now, these goals can be for yourself, for your financial plan, or you could adjust them. So I know some of you guys have totally different goals. So we talked about how goals are used, and we set some specific goals. And these goals that we talked about and you are definitely goals that you can use in your own personal financial plan, right? Just remember when you're setting your goals, make sure you're using SMART goals. Make them specific, make them measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. Now, as you apply those goals to your financial plan, they're definitely going to set you on the right financial plan on the road to be successful. Now, we know in our community, we're not taught to do this a lot, so I wanted to give it to you guys for free. I didn't want to charge anybody anything for this because I want the community to be able to start setting our goals and start thinking about the future. And I know it could be difficult when you're living paycheck to paycheck or you're not making as much as you would like. But even then, you could set some goals for yourself to get you to that level, to where you want to be. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in to the podcast. Episode 2, I'm going to be breaking down budgeting and how to set your budget. So thank you guys again. And if you haven't, check out my book if you're interested in getting into cryptocurrency at Tokenomics Audit 101. The book is called Tokenomics 101, How to Audit a Crypto Coin. It's like a beginner guide to show you how to find coins on the ground floor, how to make a checklist to audit them to make sure they're good projects to invest in. That way you guys aren't going off of Twitter memes or stuff you've seen on social media. Now, once again, thank you guys. See you next week. Peace.